When I was 8 years old, one night I dreamt that my family and I, at the time I was the only child, I dreamt my family and I were on the road and we all needed to use the bathroom really badly. And we pulled into a Kmart. This was back in the day of Kmart. Nowadays we have Walmart. We pulled into a Kmart and all of us made a mad dash to the bathroom. And I distinctly remember in the dream how we were running down the sidewalk into the store, and we made a mad dash into the bathroom. And I didn't think very much of it. I can't remember if I woke up and wet the bed. That's probably why I even dreamt about needing to go to the bathroom, because I actually needed to go. So I didn't think much of it. And I went about my days, and a couple weeks later, my family and I had gone out to lunch and go shopping, and we really did need to use the bathroom while we were on our way home. And I looked around and said, hey, there's that Kmart over there. And as I said it, I hardly even thought about the dream, because it was so silly. It's hardly something you would even tell anybody. I wish I had told somebody, because then my story would be more credible. But I pointed out, hey, there's that Kmart over there. And it's only after I said it did I realize, oh my God, I dreamt that just a few nights ago. And we made a mad dash to the bathroom. And what was really interesting was the way we made the dash in there. It was very reminiscent of how I had dreamt about it. I was 8 years old at the time, and I just kind of assumed that dreams are meant to predict the future. I think I even told a few people that dreams predict the future. Now, a few years later, I was collecting coins. The State Quarters program was released in 1999. That's around the same time I started collecting coins. And I really loved going to the bank to look for unusual coins, especially half dollars. At the time, if you got a roll of half dollars, there was a good chance you could find one or two silver coins. This was in the late 90s, early 2000s that we're talking about. And one night I dreamt that I had gone to a bank and found quite a few Eisenhower dollars. They were not easy to find, not terribly hard to find at the time. But what was really interesting was that was during a busy time in my life. I really didn't have a whole lot of time to go to the bank to look for coins, so it was the last thing I was going to be dreaming about. I think I was cramming for exams or something like that. The following day, after a whole week of cramming, it was on a Saturday, I think, my mom had taken me shopping, and she disappeared into the shopping mall. And I decided to take a walk next door where there was a bank, and I got 6 or 7 Eisenhower dollars. And I was like, oh my God, I dreamt that last night. That was just a night before. I've had too many of these incidents to count, actually. A few years ago, this was summer of 2019, I was grappling with binge eating disorder at the time. One night I dreamt that I had gone to a conference, a computer Olympiad, and I had seen my ex-girlfriend there, because she's also studying computer science, not necessarily computer gaming. But she was there with her new boyfriend, and we were just kind of catching up with each other. And as we got to the elevator, I decided to hold the door for the two of them. And my ex-girlfriend looks to her boyfriend and says, don't get into the elevator with that guy. He has a disease. And I woke up shaking. And I thought that I was subconsciously thinking about my eating disorder and how repulsive it had become over the last few years. You got to go back to my videos from 2019. I was overweight. I was out of control. A lot of times things didn't go right because I wanted to eat whatever I wanted, whenever. No control over it. And I thought that was what I was subconsciously thinking about when I had the dream. And so I woke up shaking, and I said, this is it. I got to do something about it. I had the dream, and I want to say October or November of 2019, just after my conference in Taipei. And so a big part of my resolution for 2020 was to normalize my relationship with food. And then a few months into the resolution, we really did have a situation where it wasn't advisable to get into an elevator with somebody you didn't live with because they might have a disease, right? And that was that. Now, a few months later, I had a dream. I dreamt that I went to a coin dealer to buy some silver. Silver had dipped to $12, $13 an ounce. And the dealer was just giving me all his silver for free. And he explained that the official price of silver had gone negative, and if he got caught with this silver, he would have to pay a negative amount to get rid of it. You know, you can't just toss it in the trash because there's some environmental concerns or all that. And he decided to give them to me for free because I love silver so much. And I started to worry that it's going to be confiscated from me, and I was thinking about where I'm going to hide all this silver. And then it dawned on me that I used to love to go stargazing in Ellensburg, and there's a gorge there. I could put my silver there until this thing blows over and silver comes right back to $12, $13 an ounce, and I can go pick it up, or I go hide it there for some time. So I loaded all the silver into my car. I was driving a Mitsubishi Lancer at the time, and the silver must have weighed like tens of tons, and when I started the car, it wouldn't move. And I'm thinking about, what do I do with this? Because if the government finds out I have all this silver, I'll have to pay like negative $3 an ounce or something like that. As I'm thinking about that, trying to push my car, that's when I wake up. And the next day, oil prices went negative. It wasn't silver, it was oil. So my dream was only a little bit off, right? Now it brings us to March of this year, at the beginning of the Ukraine war crisis. I had dreamt that silver prices had hit $60,000 an ounce, and Ukraine had been victorious in the war. And I had met a Ukrainian refugee, and I was going to marry her and move to Ukraine. Not only did Ukraine win the war, but they had become very progressive and really started to accept solosexuals for who they are. And I was packing up to move to Ukraine, and I was thinking about how much silver I was going to bring to Ukraine to start my life over again. And I packed about 20 or 30 ounces, not a heck of a lot of silver, but it was enough to retire in Ukraine. And I was watching an episode of the Peter Schiff Show. It's really Peter Schiff Show, but I call it the Peter Schiff Show. And in fact, in my dream, he changed his name to the Peter Schiff Show. And Peter Schiff was talking about the Ukraine situation, how they had won the war, but at the cost of hyperinflation. And as a result, silver is now worth a fortune. He was basically going, I told you so, I told you so, I told you so, I told you so. And then I was packing for Ukraine during the whole time while listening to this show. And during the dream, I kept asking myself, is this a dream? Because it didn't seem very realistic. You had all the elements of things that I dream will happen, right? Silver being worth a fortune, marrying somebody else who is also solosexual, moving to a country that accepts us for who we are. Those are all big dreams that will probably never come true, right? And so I kept asking myself, is this a dream? Is this a dream? And I was listening to the Peter Schiff Show, and I realized Peter really does talk in the way that Peter talks. This can't be a dream. I was double checking Kitco.com to make sure silver really was $60,000 an ounce, and it really was. And so I concluded this can't be a dream. And so I was packing, and then finally Peter finishes his usual 45-minute, 1 hour podcast, and the closing theme comes on. I'm like, oh my God, this is not a dream. Do. And the Peter Schiff Show ended, and I woke up. And I was only disappointed for half a second, though, because then I remembered the time that I dreamt about going to the bathroom, about finding Eisenhower dollars, about predicting COVID-19, and I'm like, oh, this is one of those again. And what's really nice is that whether or not this dream comes true or not, I've already won, because today is Saturday. Now, I related in my last video how I'm really upset about having to work 6 days a week, but earlier today when I woke up, I remember that I'm still waiting for the day silver is going to be $60,000 an ounce, and I'm going to marry somebody who is also solosexual, and all that's going to come true. Maybe working Saturday isn't the end of the world. In fact, I'll take whatever money I earned today and buy some silver, because it's going to be worth $60,000 an ounce in the future. And just having those thoughts and being motivated today, I've already won. Even if silver goes to zero, right? I've already won.